It's midday. Good afternoon. Welcome to 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM in Accra and our affiliates across the country. If you're listening in the Volta region, this is Ho FM 92.5, Dagman FM 102.5 is also picking the bulletin live in Tamale. We are live on Radio Wa 92.1 in the Upper West region, and we are live on Radio Power 96 in Spain around the world. Join us, classfmonline.com. Coming up. In this bulletin, Food and Drugs Authority shut KFC and several food service establishments for operating without mandatory food hygiene permits.
The authority therefore moved into act, led to the closure of 8 food establishments, which included KFC, also KFC. They were in the process of renewing their food hygiene.
Minority in Parliament raises fresh concerns over the tribunal panel structure and possible threats to due process less than 24 hours after the tribunal's bill 2026 was passed.
Respected learned Attorney General, first gentleman at the bar, this approach is wrong. You have your right. You have the right in the mind.
Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Attorney General,
and
please,
I'm your senior in
both
this chamber.
of you should resume your...
What you are doing is what the tribunal will do. They should let us speak.
South African president to send envoys to Ghana as part of efforts to build African cooperation in addressing migration. Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly KMA begins a major demolition exercise in Kumasi. President John Mahama praises the Black Stars, says the team exceeded expectations at the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
The Black Stars did well. Nobody gave them a chance. People predicted they'll crash out at the group stage, but they managed to get into the round of 32.
My name is Agyemang Prempeh, and I'll be doing this with Elizabeth Aidoo. But let's move on to our first story. As the Enforcement Directorate of the Ghana Food and Drugs Authority (FDA) has closed popular food fast joint KFC and several food services establishments along the Oxford Street Inosu in the Greater Accra region after found operating without mandatory food hygiene permit. The exercise, carried out yesterday, Thursday, July 16, 2026, formed part of the authority's ongoing measures to ensure compliance with food safety regulations and protect the public. According to the FDA, these affected businesses were operating without the required food hygiene permit certificate, a legal requirement for all food establishments in the country. The FDA, in a Facebook post, said the facilities would remain closed until they meet the regulatory requirement. My colleague Charles Akrofi joins me in studio with except of the statement from FDA. Charles, what more is contained in the FDA statement?
Well, Prempeh, so it was a brief statement issued on the Facebook page of the Food and Drugs Authority this afternoon. So I'm just going to read verbatim what the statement says. The statement actually talks about the fact that they've been closed down. The FDA has actually shut down the
8
Isu branch.
facilities.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm just pulling the statement so that I can read it verbatim to you. But essentially, what the statement says is that they have been operating without the requisite FDA hygiene license, and for which reason FDA has actually shut them down. So that's the details as we are having it now. I am pulling the document. It's a brief statement, actually, I should say, a brief statement from the FDA. And so the statement says that the FDA today carried out food safety inspections at Oxford Street, Osu, leading to the temporary closure of some food service establishments for operating without the FDA food hygiene permit. So the affected establishments will remain closed until they obtain the required food hygiene permit certificate. The FDA once again reminds all food businesses to regularize the operations by obtaining the mandatory food hygiene permit to avoid closure and fines. Hashtag FDA Ghana 2026, hashtag FDA communication. So that's a statement from the Food and Drugs Authority as regards the closure of these fast food joints, if you like.
Very well. So that's my colleague Charles Okrofi with except of FDA's Facebook statement on this development. We also have been speaking with the head of Public and Education Directorate, head of Communications and Education, Public Education at FDA, Rhoda Irabna Appiah, and she has been speaking with Class News.
The authority therefore moved into act, led to the closure of 8 food establishments, which included KFC, also KFC. They were in the process of renewing their food hygiene permits and some corrective and preventive actions.
This call will be recorded.
To ensure
This call is no longer being recorded.
Right. So, with this current exercise, we want to know what timelines are you giving these eateries to get back to the authority in terms of getting their documents and permits intact?
Yes, so they always will have a maximum of 3 months to make sure that they establish the necessary CAPA measures that you've put in place or recommended for them. And so 3 months is the maximum period when we come in and identify any area for you to work on. For those who do not have food hygiene permit at all, they are supposed to quickly make their way by applying for the permits. FDA will quickly move in with this team to begin the process of doing the necessary checks and then being able to issue the food hygiene permits to them. So really, the notice or this information is to both those who do not have food hygiene permits at all, and for those that have their food hygiene permits expired, they will need to pay attention to that and begin the renewal processes.
So, yeah, the head of communication and public education at the Food and Drugs Authority, Rhoda Irabna Apia.
The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has commenced a major demolition exercise behind the cocoa board building at Asafo, flattering hundreds of makeshift structure in an area authorities have designated as a high crime zone. The operation, supervised directly by the Kumasi Mayor Richard Ofori Agyemang Prempeh, was carried out under heavy security provided by armed police and military personnel. According to the city authorities, the targeted area has long served as a hub for illicit activities, including drug peddling and prostitution. Security concerns in the enclave hit a peak recently when the assembly member Patrick Yeboah was reportedly attacked and robbed of his mobile phone. In a separate high-profile incident, the Kumasi mayor recently reported a police inspector for allegedly operating within the settlement, and that officer remained under investigation. Let's listen to the Kumasi mayor. After that, we'll go online and speak to our colleague Elisha Dakwa, who is in the Ashanti region.
All other areas where it serves as habitation for criminals to stand in readiness for the KMA. We'll get rid of every habitation for criminals. We'll get rid of every organized criminal activity in our city, and we will ensure that we will provide the appropriate environment for people to go about their businesses and for everybody in Kumasi to be safe. In the area, very, but covering several, acres. I'm not sure if we are to cover the whole of the area, we'll be able to do that today. There are some behind this one too. They are in our radar, but I'm sure today we'll be able to cover about 60 to 70% of the area. So this place belongs to the Ghana Railway Authority, and so we have arranged for us to have a meeting with their top management members in Accra next week. We'll meet them. We'll let them come to appreciate the requirements of our city as regard the erection of structures and buildings, and then let them know what to do in order not for these kinds of things to spring up again and for it to reoccur.
Mayor, you
We are done with that meeting. Whatever the outcome is, we'll do a brief and submit to the Minister for Local Government, the Minister for Transport, where the railway agency falls under, and then the Minister for Lands. I say the Minister of Lands because I've seen leases emanating from railway on some permanent structures here. I am not sure and certain if it falls within the mandate of the Railway Authority, what is supposed to be under the Ministry of Transport to be giving out land leases in Kumasi in particular, and for that matter, Ashanti. So we bring it to the attention of the Honorable Lands Minister.
That's the Kumasi Mayor Richard Ofori Agyemang Prempeh. Let's go on the line and speak to my colleague Elisha Dakwa, who is currently following this demolition exercise. Elisha, is the exercise done? Elisha, is the exercise done?
No, the exercise is still ongoing at Asafo behind the cocoa board building, and the exercise is being supported by the military and the police. They have been here since morning to ensure the previous exercise, which was actually turned into chaotic, do not happen again. So they are here and providing security for the KMA officials who are doing this particular demolition exercise. So for now, they have done almost part of the job that they are supposed to do here, that's the demolition exercise. And they told us that we are going to continue on to they threaten every structure situated at the Asafo settlement to ensure this particular area that has been described as a high criminal scene is being taken out from the this area. So the exercise is still ongoing, but many of the settlers have been stranded. They are sitting on the roadside. Others have got a place to go and lay their heads, but others complain that they don't have any place to go. So they are waiting maybe if somebody would come to their help so that they will get a place to lay their heads. So that's what I can report from Asafo behind the Cocoa Board building where the settlers over here have been evicted.
Okay, so have you had, Elisha, have you had the opportunity to engage some of these people?
Yeah, I just spoke to some of the settlers here, and they were complaining that they told the Kumasi mayor they do not have any place to lay their heads, so they should actually allow them to stay. But because of many complaints that the Kumasi mayor indicated that he received from the resident over here over attacks, peddling of drug peddling, and the place being turned into a brothel, he has no other option than to demolish the place to ensure the safety of the residents who are here. So they are actually complaining that they do not have any place to lay their heads, so they should be allowed to return to the place. So, but the KMA is not actually going by what they are saying.
Okay. Did the mayor make any statement that they're going to find a temporary place for them to move into?
No, the mayor indicated that the place is not for these people. The place is for the Ghana Railways Authority. So they do not have any alternative area for them to go and lay their heads. So they should rather go and find a place to lay their heads.
Okay, sure. We'll come back to you subsequently and get more details on this demolition exercise that is currently happening in Kumasi and behind the Cocoa Board building at Asafo. That's my colleague Elisha Adakwa.
Right, Elizabeth, to some other stories. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced plans to send government envoys to Ghana as part of efforts to deepen cooperation with other African countries in addressing social and economic challenges affecting South Africa. According to him, the move follows President John Dramani Mahama's call for African countries to work together in finding solutions to challenges that transcend national borders. In a video message, the South African leader said his government wants to move beyond seeking understanding from other countries and instead build partnerships to tackle shared problems.
Address all those elements. Is quite complex. It has a number of elements to it, and we want to address all those elements fully, and they contain tasks that we must fulfill and also asks that we want to put forward to a number of other countries. In the past, we've always sought for others to understand. This time around, we'll be saying we want to work together, work with us, and I'm rather pleased that President Mahama of Ghana has been saying he would like to make a call on other African countries to work with South Africa. And that is precisely what has triggered our intention to send envoys so that they can go and explain the type of initiatives, type of programs that we are going to embark upon. Because in the end, this is an African problem.
So you hear the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Elizabeth, what more do you have?
Now, the Ministry of Health is set to reopen its recruitment portal to facilitate the employment of 16,000 nurses in two phases. President John Dramani Mahama has announced the initiative is aimed at reducing the backlog of qualified nurses awaiting posting across the country. Under the plan, the recruitment exercise will be conducted in two batches of 8,000 nurses each after the ministry opens the recruitment portal for the application. Speaking at Durban on the free primary health care program in Ho as part of his duty tour of the Volta region yesterday, President Mahama said the government remains committed to improving the health care and the welfare of workers as the economy recovers. As we bring you that sound, the Secretariat of the 24-hour economy program has dismissed claims that the policy has failed to reduce results and produce results, insisting that the initiative has moved beyond the planning stage and is already attracting investment, expanding the round-the-clock service and supporting industrial production. According to the Secretariat, the program had secured joint development agreements worth 5.5 billion US dollars with co-development partners as of May 2026. It added that the 268 filling station and 33 manufacturing companies are currently operating under this initiative, the multi-shift model. The Secretariat made the remark in the statement responding to comments by the ranking member on Parliament Economy and Development Committee, Kojo Oponkroma, who questioned the program's achievements since its launch. In response to the Secretariat aimed that the program is delivering measurable progress and is laying the foundation for sustained economic growth through its increased investment, expanded business operations, and enhanced industrial activities. Prempeh, let's do some other stories.
Now, the minority in Parliament is raising fresh concerns over the tribunal panel structure and possible threats due process less than 24 hours after the Tribunals Bill 2026 was passed. Parliament passed the Tribunals Bill 2026 on Friday, July 17, clearing the way for the reintroduction of public tribunals in Ghana after more than 2 decades without them. The passage came a few minutes after the minority staged a walkout in protest led by its leader, Alexander Fenyomakin, following a heated debate over the same panel clause which he had pushed to delete. The majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, opposed the move, and a voice vote saw the majority reject the deletion. Unhappy with the outcome, Afenyomakin challenged the Speaker's ruling before leading his caucus out of the chamber. Here's a News X report bringing you up to speed with what ensued last night.
An act to provide for the establishment, jurisdiction, composition, and operation of tribunals in accordance with the Constitution established the Tribunal Oversight Committee and for related matters.
Honourable members, the Tribunal Bill 2026 is now duly read for the third time and passed.
Parliament has passed the Tribunals Bill 2026, clearing the way for the reintroduction of public tribunals in Ghana after more than 2 decades without them, despite a walkout by the minority caucus a day earlier.
Mr. Speaker, in the interest of democracy, we haven't registered our protest. Mr. Speaker, since the majority leader has indicated that they will not listen to the views expressed, including that of organized labor, Mr. Speaker, we are leaving them.
The bill was approved on Friday, July 17, 2026, following a third reading in the House. Its passage came a day after the minority, led by Minority Leader Alexander Fenyomakin, staged a walkout during consideration of the bill, protesting what it described as the majority's push to force through legislation despite objections from organized labor, legal stakeholders, and recommendations from the constitutional review process. The walkout followed a lengthy and heated debate over the bill's provisions, particularly a clause governing the composition of tribunal panel. Agyemang had pushed for the clause to be deleted entirely, arguing it created confusion in the country's judicial system. The majority leader, Mahama Yariga, opposed the application, insisting the bill would be passed regardless of how long the House sat to debate it.
We can continue. I can assure you that even if we will sit here till tomorrow morning, this bill will pass it today. We will pass it today. You can filibuster, you can do all the things that you want to do. I have your time. I have your time. We will pass this bill today. So you can go on. You can go on. Those of us who have done student politics, this is common. We'll go for a Nooks meeting and we filibuster until 4 a.m. when everybody is sleepy. Then that's when we take the vote. So if you want that, we can do Nooks politics here. And for this bill, we will pass it today.
When the matter was put to a voice vote, the majority rejected the proposal to delete the clause. Unhappy with the outcome, the minority leader challenged the speaker ruling before leading the New Patriotic Party caucus out of the chamber. Addressing journalists after the walkout, Agyemang accused the majority of using its numerical strength in parliament to push through the legislation. He argued that the proposed tribunal system could undermine due process and fair trial.
That in all situations of disagreement, there must be a window to discuss, to raise the concept. But once the majority leader makes a strong pronouncement that whatever the case, they will not listen, they will use their numbers to pass the bill, then there is no point again. Every other effort will be rendered odious. Every other effort by us will be rendered nugatory. You recall that earlier in the day, when we raised this issue, the majority leader, realizing that he didn't have the numbers, immediately called for suspension of the House. So he used the 5 hours to marshal his members into the chamber. Even so, those present were not even up to 150.
Parliament proceeded to pass the bill the following day without the minority's participation in the final vote. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, first laid the bill before Parliament on June 26, 2026. The legislation now awaits transmission to President John Dramani Mahama for assent before it can become law. Reporting for Class News, Zita Okwan.
Now, the minority leader, Alexander Agyemang, says the tribunal panels where only the chairperson is required to have legal training, while 2 lay members hold equal voting power, could allow lay persons to outvote a legally qualified chairperson. He argues the arrangement risks pronouncing people guilty before their cases are properly determined. He accused the majority of using its numbers in parliament to push through legislation opposed by organized labor and legal experts, warning that tribunal system could undermine due process protections built into ordinary court systems. The legislation now awaits President Mahama's assent before it can become law. Elizabeth, what more do you have?
The New Patriotic Party has condemned the conviction and 1-year sentence handed to Kamila Al-Hassan for offensive social media posts targeting President John Dramani Mahama, describing the decision as a threat to freedom of expression and announcing its support for an immediate appeal. The party says the imprisonment of the 43-year-old over what it described as expressive conduct raises serious constitutional concern about the right to free speech guaranteed under Article 21 of the 1992 Constitution. In a statement issued on Thursday, the NPP argued that if the president believed he had been defamed, the appropriate remedy was a civil defamation suit rather than a criminal prosecution. It also criticized the police, the Attorney General, and the court for what it described as the use of the state coercive power to punish a citizen for expressing an opinion. The party further condemned what it called the heavy-hand treatment of Al-Hassan following her conviction. conviction and called on civil society organizations, the Ghana Bar Association, the National Peace Council, and the diplomatic community to speak against what it termed as criminalization of free expression. It also announced that it would support every lawful effort to pursue an immediate appeal against both the conviction and the sentence. Camilla was sentenced by the Accra High Court to 1 year imprisonment with hard labor after pleading guilty to offensive conduct. The Ghana Police Service says she was arrested on July 9 following an intelligence-led operation after officers intercepted a TikTok video in which she allegedly made insulting remarks against the president and the first lady, issued threats against their lives, and made false allegations about the president's life. The lawyer for Camilla Hassan spoke yesterday after this ruling. That's the lawyer for Camilla speaking or after she was sentenced to 1 year imprisonment. Meanwhile, private legal practitioner Theophilus Jemega says a criminal conviction can have lasting consequences beyond prison sentence. Speaking of 505 yesterday, he said even if a convicted person's prison term is reduced or overturned on appeal, the conviction itself may remain on record and continue to carry significant legal consequences.
You're joking. Even if the political party comes to hail you, you are going in alone. They will not go with you. Assuming this girl gets an appeal and it's even reduced to 6 months, 3 months, she would have wasted 3 months. And she becomes forever an ex-convict. She can't travel to the US, for example. She can't travel to Canada. And she can't get certain jobs. So forever, some doors are shut for her. So why will you put yourself in harm's way without being decent? We all post. Several people post. Even my 84-year-old mother.
That's private legal practitioner Theophilus Jemega.
Right, now Elizabeth, let's move on to some other stories because President John Dramani Mahama has praised the Black Stars for exceeding expectations at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, saying the team's progression to the round of 32 was a notable achievement. The president said many football observers had predicted that Ghana would be eliminated during the group stage, but the team defied those expectations by advancing further in the competition. Speaking after inspecting the whole sports stadium during his tour of the Volta region, President Mahama said maintaining the current squad and retaining the technical team would be important in building a competitive side capable of challenging for major titles.
The Black Stars did well. Nobody gave them a chance. People predicted they'll crash out at the group stage, but they managed to get into the round of 32. I'm sure that if we keep this team and we persuade the coach to continue to work with the team, by the time of the next AFCON and the time of the next World Cup, we'll have a team that can claim the championship in any of those two competitions. And so we'll finish this inspection, and soon we'll bring them to start looking at it and beginning the designs. And once they finish the designs, we'll come back and let the traditional rulers, everybody look at how the stadium will look after it is finished.
So you had President John Dramani Mahama.
Now to some African news, 20 children and 1 adult were killed on today when their bus overturned in Uganda. The group from King David Junior High School in the capital of Kampala were returning from a trip to Sipi Falls in where the crash occurred. Police says we are still following this development. We'll bring you more details on that subsequently right here on Class 91.3 FM. Now, are you ready to review your fortune? Review Scratch for Win is here to change your life for good. Just dial star 850 star 5 hash and win up to 1 million Ghana cedis or more in cash prizes instantly. It's easy, it's exciting, and it's regulated by the National Lottery Authority. Just dial star 850 star 5 hash to play now. It's an all-network select stake amount for 5 cedis to 2,000 Ghana cedis. Choose your lucky card out of the 5 option. Confirm gameplay and enter your Momo pin instantly. It's easy, it's fun, and exciting. Get ready to scratch, win, and live your best life with Review Scratch for Win. Up to 1 million Ghana cedis up for grabs. Review Scratch for Win. Scratch Keke. That is Ika Seibam.
So that's how we draw the curtains today on 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM and our affiliates across the country. For more news, do also visit classfmonline.com. My name has been Agyemang Prempeh, and I did this with
Elizabeth Aidoo. Have a good afternoon.